tapi di Dua Perempuan Gila. I can try to. How's my hair? What the hell is happening?
It looks great.
Okay, cool. Very Hawaii. So yeah, we're gonna ask that in the recording. Hello. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hai, terus sana pun start.
Hai, selamat datang.
Welcome
Kembali
to
lagi.
another episode of Dua Perempuan Gila. And today, again, we are happy to report that we are part of the 5th Borneo Rhythms of Rimba Festival 2024, happening right here at the Rainforest Discovery Center sa Pilok, Sandakan. Yes, and we have the honor of interviewing our next guest, who is also a guest for the ROR Borneo 2024. And it's Kimi Werner. Kimi Werner. I don't want to waste any more time because I'm such a girl fan. I'm such a fan of Kimi because I met her the first time at ROR, Rhythms of Rimba, Borneo, 2019.
2018, right?
2018, yeah, somewhere towards the end of 2018, I think. And from what I gathered, right, you're a free diver, which is so cool. Free diver ni, they're diving, but without all the equipments and
pakai oxygen,
nggak
nggak
pakai
pakai tuh,
tangki.
okay.
Dia free siya, macam orang bajau laut.
Okay.
Yes, just like how the bajau laut people have developed skills, and even I read somewhere that their lungs gitu.
Ya, paru-paru.
Has developed to the point of them being able to hold their breath for
Paling lama
12 minutes.
12 menit.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Natural. Yeah, that's crazy. So, Kimi, how long can you hold your breath underwater?
Not as long as the Bajau Lao. I'm more around 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes, yeah.
Still super
In the
cool.
water, yeah.
How long? I could do it for like 60 seconds. And that's an achievement. Kandante. Right? So, a bit of background before we go further, because once we start talking, now that Kimi is also, she's a mother.
Yeah.
That's so what's new, right?
That's new.
What's
Yeah.
new? That's new. She's a mother, and I had 3 kids when we first met. I have 4 now, so we have growing, gnarly humans
Yes.
to deal with. Kimi Werner is, again, an inspiring figure deeply connected to the ocean, with a life shaped by sustainability and adventure. And from my own following you on social media, so inspiring because I followed you since 2018, since I knew you back then, and how you've been making a living, right? In Hawaii, doing unconventional work
Right.
as career, and then once you started getting pregnant with Buddy,
Yes.
who is now
He's now 4.
4 years old, and how you encourage him to, live a sustainable life, a life that is empowered, where we take the power and decide for ourselves what's better for us than have some other people tell us
Right.
how to live our lives, right? So, inspiring in many ways. Tell us about your childhood growing up in Maui, Hawaii, right? Yeah.
Oh, I have a mic right here.
Yeah,
yeah.
right, yeah.
So I grew up on an island as well, the island of Maui, and my childhood was fantastically rich with nature, just so beautiful and just so rich in the sense that we lived in the boonies, just surrounded by trees, and we would get our food from the land and the ocean. But in actuality, we were very poor with money. I was
Rich with other reasons.
Yes, exactly. I was so young at the time that society and the norms didn't affect me, and so I never knew that we were poor. I did not know that. Like, we didn't have neighbors or anything like that, so I didn't have anybody to compare myself to, and I just knew that I loved my life. But that is why my dad did spearfishing and freediving, was because
Spearfishing,
yes,
mentombak ikan.
exactly. Like he did it simply to put food on the table because we needed to eat. And he also didn't want to spend money on hiring a babysitter. So when my mom was working as a waitress, he would let me come and tag along when I was like 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. And so that was when I got the introduction to the underwater world. And I just loved it. I loved following my dad along. I didn't actually spear anything, but I would watch him and like tell him what I wanted to eat for dinner. He would go down and get it. I would clap for him. And that is where I developed my comfort in the ocean. But then by the time I was 7, both of my parents got like better jobs, started working their way up, started making more money. And our life changed a lot. You know, we still lived on the island of Maui, but we moved to a more civilized neighborhood. We ate at
Lifestyle change.
lifestyle change. Got our food from grocery stores and from restaurants and
Wow, from foraging,
Yeah.
spearfishing, and to buying them off the grocery shelf.
yeah, everything kind of changed. You know, they definitely just started having a lot more money and success, and to them that was progress, and they were very proud of themselves. But and I'm proud of them for sure, for working so hard and succeeding in that. But as a child, I did not feel that it was
A good
progress or
change.
success. I was heartbroken. Like
I made you sad.
I was so sad. I missed living in this tiny little shack with the rain coming down, and my job as a little kid was to take the same pots that my mom cooked dinner and put it all around the house to catch the drips of the roof, and just going out into nature and bringing home fruit, going out into the ocean, bringing home fish, watching my mom, and
It's
you
so
know,
simple.
it was so beautiful and simple, and so I missed it, and those memories kind of haunted me my whole life. It's like these are the happiest days of your life, you know, and it wasn't until later on in life when I moved to a different island. I was an adult. I was going to college, a young adult, and I studied culinary arts, cooking, and
I was gonna ask, when you started following your mom to restaurants when she was waitressing, that must have
Yeah.
been when you were exposed to
yeah,
culinary, so-
definitely. Yeah, but I still think my favorite culinary was just her at home, cleaning the fish, cooking it up simple, you know, and yeah, and then when I was 24, I graduated with my culinary degree, and that was when I really realized, like, wow, I am not happy in life. Like, I'm working in this restaurant. I don't have any more education path to follow and hope that some other dream lands on my lap. This is it for the rest of my life if I stay here doing this right now. And I'm like, what is missing from my life? Why am I not happy? And I just kept thinking about those memories of tagging along with my dad. And finally, I was like, you cannot just wait for a dream to land on your lap and change your course. Like, that's what I had been doing my whole life. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
you know, you have been thinking of this. Like, my memories were haunting me to the point where I was like, well, I guess I just am suffering from chronic nostalgia. All I do is just think about memories that no longer exist, you know?
yeah.
And then finally I'm like, it doesn't have, you know, just go try it. Just go see if you can do it. And one day...
What does that even look like, right? At that point?
Exactly. So I didn't know. But one day I did go to this barbecue. I was a canoe paddler. It's a sport in Hawaii we do. And so I went to this barbecue, and these boys brought some fish. They put it on the grill. And then I just realized, hey, I know these fish. These aren't the ones you see in the supermarket. These aren't the ones that you see in restaurants, not the ones that I'm working with in restaurants, because that's all flown in and frozen from far away. These are the fish I grew up on. And so I told them, where'd you get these fish? And they said, we went spearfishing. And I was like, oh my gosh, it does exist. It does happen. So I'm like, oh, can I come? You know, and everybody's like, yeah, we'll call you. Nobody called me, you know, and I don't blame them. You know, some people say, oh, maybe they didn't
This
take
urban girl, city girl.
they
who wants
didn't
to-
yeah, they didn't take you seriously because you're a girl. But I'm like, yeah, but also my resume was I used to dive when I was 5. You know, I'm sure I sounded like a liability.
Yeah.
But I just went and got a spear, and then one day I went to the beach, and I decided I'm going to swim out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try. And I had a lot of anxiety doing it, but by the end of the day, I just remembered my memories of watching my dad. And then I found a little reef, and I just tried to do what I saw him do for years and years. And I came out of the water that day with 5 fish. And that was the day that changed my life. Like, You know, I remember like when I went to go to the beach and go, I was so embarrassed. I was trying to hide my spear. I didn't want anybody to look at me.
A lot of shame.
A lot of
in
shame.
girls to try boy things or
exactly.
I don't know,
No, that's exactly it. Like when I started walking to the beach, I'm like, oh my gosh, a girl with a spear. Everybody's gonna know that I have no idea what I'm doing, no business doing what I'm doing.
that I look stupid.
That I look
doing
stupid
it.
was the exact
Yeah.
next thing I was gonna say. Yes, and all these voices in my head. I'm like, just get in the water, you'll feel better. Got in the water, started swimming. I did not feel better. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what about sharks? It's dirty. It's windy. I was freaking out, honestly.
And you were 25?
24. I
24?
think I was 24.
Yeah.
And I kept swimming, and finally got to the point where I'm like, this is a dumb idea, and I should just go back in. And right when I thought that, this little wave broke, and it made all these bubbles on the surface. And all of a sudden, I felt calm, and I felt safe, and it triggered a memory from when I was 5 that sometimes my job was to follow my dad along, and that was it. Keep up so he can hunt. I follow. And sometimes I would be like, ooh, a turtle. And I would get distracted. I would look, oh no, where's my dad? And I would get scared. I would feel so small, all this anxiety. And then I would just put my head in and I'd look at the surface. And if I could see the bubbles left by his fins, I'd say, go that way, dad's there. And so even at 24, I was like, go that way. And I felt calm. And I just used this trick, just imagining my dad in the distance leading. And I kept swimming, and then I found this reef, and dove down, got these little fish, and came back. And when I walked,
First fish.
yes, and when I came out of the water, I was no longer ashamed. I was like, I held my head high, I held my fish, you know, and then I took it home
So
that
cool.
night and cooked it and shared it with my friends, and tasted better than any meal I made in my culinary career. And then I just realized, like, this needs to be it for the rest of my life. Like,
That's the feeling.
This is what has been calling me for a long time. And then I just wanted to make up for lost time. And then I was just obsessed with it. Just kept doing it as much as I could.
I'm just here, what do you call it? It's like just being in awe, because I felt for the longest time that I've always wanted my own food garden. I want to have kids and have them forage their own breakfast, fruits for breakfast, like what you did with Buddy. Is like, and you're right. I mean, I'm 39 this year, and although every year I feel like it's a step closer to that dream, while also, having that 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Totally.
We're here in stability, economic stability, still doing the corporate thing. Money, still focusing on money, right?
Right.
But like, I can feel it in my stomach. Meeting Kimi Werner for the second time ain't gonna be the same. Right? I mean, going home, I wonder what's the takeaway. I wonder what's gonna loom in my head for a few weeks, and like, you know what? Just do like what Kimi did. Fuck this shit and do it.
Just go for it.
Do it scared.
Yeah, exactly. You're never gonna, if you always wait till you're ready, you're never gonna start. You have to just start, and I don't know what I had been waiting for in my whole life. I just feel like I just was like, if I just choose this path and I stay on this path, something else will come and change it for me. But no, if you want to make a change, you gotta just make it.
Active.
And it's gonna be hard and it's gonna be scary. And if it's not, then it's not a big enough goal, you know?
Nga dyan na. Focus. Wow. Okay. Wow. Where did we even drive this? You're also a certified chef, right? Yeah. And as a certified chef, Kimi often integrates her sustainable practices into her culinary creations, demonstrating how ocean resources can be used responsibly. So, as a certified chef, how do you incorporate sustainability into your cooking?
I think a lot of it,
Right?
I mean, so much of it is just going back to the old ways, I think like where, especially I feel like in the United States, if you go to the store to buy fish, it's always going to be like a rectangle fillet, boneless, skinless, then people just aren't in touch with the fact that this is an animal. So it's just like boneless, skinless rectangle wrapped in plastic on styrofoam, and that is your food. But because that has now become such the demand, that's what people there want to eat. They don't want to see bones. They don't want to see eyeballs looking back at them, you know.
So
And
they want to
so-
feel guilty consuming.
Yeah,
devouring.
exactly. I feel like a lot of society has gotten so far away from the connection to food that that's how they feel comfortable eating, and then that creates a lot of food waste because then when the consumers demand that, then all these other parts of the animal, you know, get discarded, and you have to kill so many more fish in order to make that happen.
And
And
nature makes it so that every part of the animal is
it's delicious.
Useful,
It's
yeah.
useful, and even the parts we don't eat can be buried in our garden and make our plants more fruitful. You know, and so I think it just really does come down to my passion for spearfishing and the journey it took for me to get there, as well as how hard it is to do this and get my own food. It makes this food gold, you know, and it's not something I'm just going to leave in my fridge and waste. It's not something I'm going to, you know, just eat part of. It's something that I want to honor this animal. I want to put all my love into cooking it, and I want to put my love into cooking all parts of it, and also diversity. Like there's some fish where people are like, ew, that's a junk fish,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we want this one because they've been kind of
salmon.
Yeah.
Over.
Exactly. There's like 4 popular
River fish.
fish, you know, like salmon and cod and tuna and whatnot, and
They're
but it-
also over commercialized.
exactly, because if the whole world gets trained to want fillets of those
Yeah,
fish,
yeah.
then
Diversity.
those fisheries are going to collapse. So it is diversity. So I love the fact that I can go out into the ocean, get food low on the food chain, and just enjoy it. And also, just like I said, like it's all giving back to the plants too. You know, it's all circular. Like so, just recipes that really honor the animal, tell the story of the harvest, and makes people appreciate and connect with it more. I think it's very important, not just because of food waste, but then people start thinking about what they're eating and the effect it has on this earth.
Yeah, so I forgot to mention that a very important thing though about your spearfishing journey. You went on to become the United States national champion,
Yeah.
spearfishing
I did.
champion. How was that like? Like, what happened to the boys that didn't want to teach you how to spearfish?
Well, actually, so
Thinking you were not serious about it, like, "Oh, she's just a girl, she's just saying it." You know?
So yeah, so exactly. So those boys, basically, I started going on my own, figured it out, and then I came back to those same barbecues and I put my own fish on the grill. And when I did that, then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh shit, you're serious," you know, like. And then all of a sudden, Yeah. and then my phone started ringing, and then they started calling, and then they started saying, "Okay, let's go dive," you know, and so those boys, I did end up like then being able to dive with them, and I learned different things from different people, but it was never enough. Then I wanted to learn more and more and more, and then those guys were like, "Ew, we don't even know. You gotta go see these guys if you want to learn to dive for those fish," you know. And then it just started getting around the island. Like there's this very enthusiastic girl, obsessed with spearfishing, and she's been getting better fast. And then pretty much the best divers in Hawaii, who are just like these incredible guys, like so selective, so amazing how they dive, so deep they dive and whatnot. They kind of heard about me, and I just knew I wanted to dive with them. I wanted to learn from them, and I
They were
found
like the superheroes of the free
they were definitely, yeah. And so I kind of found out what bars they hung out at, and then I stalked them, like old-fashioned stalking, not Instagram stalking. Like I would show up at the bars. "Hello, nice seeing you here. Like I like to dive, will you take me?" And they're just like, they at first they didn't, and they had good. Well, it's more that they had won the national championship, or they had entered the national championships and were expected to win, but their third partner passed away in that competition.
Oh, wow.
And so I think they were very traumatized and scared of taking another partner under their wing, and And so basically, instead of taking me, they would just give me tips. They would say, okay, tell me about your last dive. I tell them about the fish I missed. They say, okay, next time try this. And they would give me these little tips. And then I would come back next week to the bar and be like, I got it. And one night, maybe they just had a little too much to drink, but they said, okay, why don't you come with us tomorrow? And that whole night, I couldn't even sleep. I was so excited. And yeah, on that day, they took me and they're like, okay, this is going to be deeper than you've ever went, but there's an octopus down there. You know, see if you can go get it.
How big?
It was a big one, you know, and I had never.
Octopus has many hands.
Yes, it does. And I just went down, and it, you know, and it was deeper than I had ever gone. And I got to the bottom, and I started using my spear and tickling the octopus. I remember my dad doing it. And then one leg came out, the next leg came out. Everything's holding onto my arm. But all I could think is, if I don't get this octopus, I'm gonna lose my chance to ever learn from these guys. So I am not.
I need to
coming.
impress
I
these
am
guys.
exactly. I am not coming up
heroes.
until I get this. Finally, I get it out of the hole, and then I just realized, uh-oh, I'm out of air. And right when I thought that, I just felt all these strong hands on me, swimming me up to the surface. They had, what is she doing down there for so long? They went down, they grabbed me, they pulled me up. And when I came out, I said, I got it. They're like, you're crazy. and then they said, okay. And they're like, okay, we gotta teach her safety. And so they took me under their wings, because they're like, this girl needs to learn how to dive safe. And
You're crazy.
yeah.
Gila kau ini.
But they did, and they were the best mentors I could ever ask for. And 3 years after diving with them, I wanted to follow in their footsteps. And so I told them, okay, I want to go to the national championships. And they explained to me that it travels to different states. That's like on the mainland, you know, so it's very far away for us. And they said, every once in a while we'll come to Hawaii. And I said, but I'm ready this year. And they said, no, wait for it to come to Hawaii. And I said, but I'm ready now. And it turned out it was in this place called Newport, Rhode Island, which is next to New York City base. It's in the East Coast.
So far from Hawaii.
So far from Hawaii. I said, I want to do it now. And they're like, oh, Kimi, like, it's nothing like diving in Hawaii. I don't know if you want to do it. I said, I do. And so finally one of them said, okay, if you're sure, then I'll be your partner. He said, but I'm only taking off 4 days of work. And he's like, well, let's go. And usually for a competition like that, you want to get there weeks in advance to study the ecosystem, to learn it, whatnot. We got there 4 days in advance, and as soon as I went to go dive, first of all, the water was cold. I was wearing a wetsuit that was very fat and different, and I couldn't even move. I tried to dive down. I couldn't even see my own fins. The water was not clean like it is in Hawaii. And then I was like, okay, there's the bottom. Kimi, you can get to the bottom. And I see this layer of brown. I dive to the green water. There's the brown bottom. I go right through it. And I'm like, oh no. Okay, there's the bottom. Go right through it. It was so dark and dirty. Yes. And I kept coming back up. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even dive. But finally, on this one drop, I said, stop expecting the bottom. Stop putting an expectation. Just close your eyes and trust that it's going to come. And I finally went through all the layers of darkness. And then I felt myself land on the bottom. And when I opened my eyes, the bottom was actually clear because they have mussels, the shellfish, on the bottom that filter the water. And so I could see down there. And then I felt more comfortable. And then I also learned to listen because the fish there eat the mussels. So I could hear them crunching and I could find them. And then 4 days later, I became the national champion. So it was truly amazing. Yeah.
Really amazing. Wow, so inspiring.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's funny how I'm listening to all of these stories from an American. Because I'm supposed to hear this from the Bajau LAUT. Oh, friend just came. Tita, hi, tita. My geng sirong. Yeah. So, yeah, funny how we should be listening to these kind of stories dari orang Bajau LAUT ba? Macam mana orang Bajau, how can a country like Sabah, like Malaysia, a state like Sabah Island, located on an island of Borneo, and you have the Bajau LAUT people, the sea gypsies, but we don't have a national spearfishing competition. That's what I've been thinking. I'm like, that is not math.
Yeah, I mean, and
Kenapa?
It can just
Sabah?
be it can be so complex, you know, because even for me, like I only competed for a couple more years and then I realized like it wasn't actually for me. It was very good for me at the time to understand like, wow, I can do this and I can accomplish this goal. But then I started thinking of fish as points and fish as trophies. And then I realized like, that's not why I got into diving. You know, I got into this for food and culture and family. And so I stopped competing and I just started doing it just for food and just for sustainability from then on. And I do think that is the key. And I have always been so mesmerized by the Bajalao and their abilities, you know.
You've
and
heard of them?
Oh, totally.
From as early as when?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Like before I started diving, yeah, I heard about them and I saw, you know,
Spearfishing.
documentaries of how long they can hold their breath and these nomadic sea gypsies who, you know, their spleen is so much bigger than the rest of us and
Spleen, that's not the lungs, spleen.
yeah. I don't even really know what a spleen is, but it's good for free diving apparently. And
How does it even look like?
and but I was so impressed, and they were like my heroes. And last time in 2018 when I came out here, Anton did take me out to meet the Bajalao community and in their sea village. And on our way out there, I did see a Bajalao man spearfishing, and it was a dream come true, you know. And you had me with like my fancy long freediving fins, my modern mask, my snorkel, and this guy was just wearing like homemade goggles. He had pieces of plastic strapped to his feet that were so small, but the way that he moved in the water was amazing. The way that he kicked his feet. And Anton told me, this was by himself, and then I'm like, go Kimmy, go dive with him. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, is he gonna get mad that this woman is just like jumping in, maybe, you know, scaring his fish away, he's gonna think, or just, what are you doing here? But he saw me, he kind of looked up twice and then just kept diving. And then I just was watching him and seeing what he was doing, seeing what fish he was going for. And then I started like being like, come, I see that fish here. And I would like scout for him, find the fish, wave him over, he would come and get it, and then eventually he gave me the spear and I got to spear with him. And to me that was such a beautiful thing.
He was better than me.
It was we recognized each other's talents and each other's ability in the
From the
water.
language that
Yes,
you
and it
both
formed
spoke.
exactly for two people who could never communicate on land, never, no chance. Like in the ocean, we spoke the same language, and he immediately accepted me as a partner in spearfishing, and we did that, and it was amazing. But of course, still going out to meet the community, it was very conflicting because it's not this happy, beautiful dream that I had in my head. It's actually a very, very sad reality, you know? And
how underappreciated and misunderstood it is here.
yes, and just that, you know, with all the pollution and development and all the problems going on in the ocean, like they no longer have this resource abundantly to take from,
Even
you
if they
know?
have the spleen.
Yes,
the talent for
exactly.
it, but,
Without a healthy ocean, that spleen is
yeah,
nothing,
yeah.
right? And so that was very disappointing. And we would see like boatfuls of tourists like going out to go to like nearby islands with resorts, and they would just throw candy with plastic wrappers into the ocean because all the Bajalao kids will come out and paddle out and take it, and then there's just plastic left in the ocean. And
See, I was just saying this.
yeah.
I mentioned this.
so there's definitely, and then just even understanding that they're now stateless people that don't even have rights and whatnot. I was just like, oh my goodness, how can
it's
such a
crazy.
worldly treasure
the
be
Bajalao
like less than even a second-class citizen? You know, like
not even considered humans, I think.
exactly,
By the current state government.
yeah.
And who also sadly have brainwashed enough Sabahans to see the same.
Yeah.
I think more than 50% of our population think that they are pests, that they need to be, that they are foreigners.
Yeah.
Pendatang.
And it's so sad.
It's really bad.
And
yeah.
you see that with so many different cultures and micro ethnicities, is that from rural communities is like so much times the modern world changes so quickly, and it's like beyond. It's at a pace that is beyond their ability to adapt to, and then they get left behind, and then they're considered uneducated, stupid, no
Pests.
skill, no need for them. When really
Wasting our resources.
their wisdom of the sea, their skill and what they
Yes.
do is phenomenal, but they've
Yeah.
just been displaced because of the modern world. And to me, that is like very sad, you know?
It's. I was saying the other day, isn't it funny how we are getting rid of the Bajau Laut houses on stilts on the oceans, and then, but in the same breath, we're also building businesses, business premises, with the very same concept. You know, rumah atas air, and then call on expats and tourists and foreigners to come and spend money there, and the money goes to the operators but not back to the community. So everything is disconnected, and it's chronic, the level of disconnection that we are at, and it's very frustrating for people like us. And you're gonna go back to Hawaii, you share your story with us, and I really hope that whoever tuned into this episode gained something out of Kimi's story, because to me it's so inspirational. Since I met her 5 years ago, I feel like I have been paving baby steps to create that dream of living off the grid, like sustainably on our own, empowering our own kids' education and their upbringing.
And I believe so much it can be done. When I finally
It's
spoke
so
to my
hard,
dad,
though.
I called him to tell him I had fallen in love with spearfishing. I thought he would be so proud of me because he was my influence.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
called him, he was so disappointed the first time. And he's just like,
What did he want you to become? A doctor?
well, he
A lawyer.
first wanted me to take over his business that had become quite successful. Then when I said, oh, Dad,
What business was it?
He's a construction.
Ah.
So therefore he was pushing me a wheelbarrow.
That's kind of like the
It grew. And, but it
the
wasn't
exact
my
opposite of
passion.
what you're.
Yeah, and then when I told him spearfishing, he said, why? And then I realized that for him, he related that with him more. And so he was afraid that even though he enjoyed that part of our life very much, he worked really hard and sacrificed in order to be better opportunity, right? And then so to see me running back to
that life.
He was just like, what is going on? But I think what is really amazing is that it doesn't have to be one or the other. And
Yes.
yes, and I have made a very successful career out of my passion, and of course once I did that, he was very, very proud. Now he's my number one fan. But basically, I just think that so many times we try to pull out, certain people or certain lifestyles or ways of the past as primitive or poor or
We should
useless.
progress.
We should progress,
Are we
and
progressing?
but we're losing so much when we do that, because right now, like,
What are we gaining?
the more successful I get, the more all I want to do is build a life where that
It's so
looks exactly
disconnected.
like the life I had when I was 5, where I live
Yeah.
on a piece of land, we can forage on our land for food, we can dive in the ocean, we can take care of this earth, take care of each other. And it is not something that I think is a poor lifestyle. Like I said, it is the richest
So,
lifestyle you can
yeah.
have. And it'll be different for everybody. Everybody's going to have their own passions and their own things to follow. But I think that's the thing, is that nature thrives in diversity, and so do we. And so instead of trying to, bulldoze out the Bajau Laut and make everything this modern, monochromatic world, you're going to lose so much. The beauty
Definitely.
of this place
And
is as
you're-
diverse as the rainforest itself. You know?
And when you don't celebrate diversity, and when you oppose to it instead and try to suppress it and sweep it under the rug, you're also creating possible future, I don't know, civil war. It's possible, and it's so bad. Wake up, people! Let's unite, not divide. Celebrate diversity, not uniformity.
Yes. Exactly.
A uniformed world will be so boring.
It was so boring. It would be so boring.
Yeah.
Anytime you trade in diversity for
Uniform.
any mono, especially you know what?
Monochromatic. I like
Monochromatic,
that. Yeah, I
and
like that.
and
That's
and,
what you're
and
doing.
anytime you do it, I promise you, anytime you see somebody trading out diversity, whether it's the forest, the ocean, the people, for anything that is monochromatic, the only reason it's happening is because of profits. Like I have never seen another example that did not have to do with just money, but that short-term money that people might be gaining is probably only going into the pockets of a little bit of people, not a community. And even then, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's a very short-sighted way to look at things because it is the diversity of the land, the ocean, and the people that is the treasure of a place. And that is going to be worth far more in value than if you take it all down to make things monochromatic. It's not going to sustain itself.
Yeah. So diversity.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, diversity for the win. We always have a main theme and message with our guests. I obviously have a lot more to talk about with Kimi because I actually like it when our conversations flow naturally and we're talking about more about women's stuff, mother, parenting. We've been spending time together for the last only 2 days, but it's beautiful seeing you and Buddy here and seeing my kids here and to see our kids thrive. They literally thrive. They feel safe to just go out and explore and whatever. Mom's working. Okay, I'm just gonna go find my own food. I'm hungry. I'm gonna find my own food. And people are safe here. The people are safe. The kids are not afraid to explore as well. So banyak sebenarnya mau cerita sama si Kimi ini.
Masa yang tidak masa tidak membenarkan kita, sangat mencemuri kita. Tapi kalau saya pendapat saya untuk kita punya interview hari ini dengan Kimi, saya melihat peluang sebagai sea gypsies. Maksudnya apa yang kita buang itu negeri kita sendiri membuang dorang, sedangkan negara lain sangat menghargai dorang. Which is yang sebenarnya
Do you understand that? She's saying that it's funny how outsiders appreciate the sea gypsies more than we treat them as humans.
And dan bukan saja dari talent dorang, tapi dorang ni sebagai penjaga laut. Maksudnya kalau ada sampah dorang sendiri yang kasih bersih, tidak perlu pun dikasih gaji kah, apakah dorang sendiri.
Nah, sama janganlah kita bagi dorang sampah, like what Kimi was saying. We think we're being philanthropic by bringing them food in plastic packagings, in convenient packages. But if you think about it, you're creating trash for them. That's right. So where do they bring the? Sudahlah tiada lori sampah. Even the waste management, the authorities in charge of the waste management in the country do not go to where they are on the islands.
Right.
Why is nobody thinking about these things? I can't brain.
Okay. What's the plan for the future?
Yeah. So what are your moving forward? Right. What are your plans and what are your hopes for the future? And maybe words of encouragement for people like us, people like me, who I believe in these things. I believe that the whole point of life is to go back. We have natural intelligence that was built inside of us. Whatever humans have built, cameras, computers, that's a replica of what was naturally created here, right? So, and I believe that we are all replicates of the bigger Mother Nature's image and impressions and expressions. So, but it's hard because what we've been talking for the past 30 minutes, it's hard because it's still misunderstood.
Right.
Hugely misunderstood. So, encourage us. How do we carry on? How do we power on?
I mean, as far as what's next for me, I am writing books right now, and I think that is kind of my again, I think I'm always fighting for old school ways. People say print is done, books are done. It's not, and I am writing books right now in a way to hopefully leave a legacy behind. One will be a cookbook about sustainable meals and practices and so much more, stories and
Certified
arts.
chef.
And
She made something so good.
and I'm also going to make a children's book because the children are the future.
Children.
But I think as far as like, words of encouragement, I just think that it really comes down to truly like believing in diversity and honoring it. And so like if you think about, for example, when we're saying like the Bajau Lao and outsiders appreciating them, there's so much opportunity there. There's so much opportunity there to find a way to work with people who are different, not shun them, not destroy them, not push them out, and not try to make them always conform to a modern thing, but work together, and celebrate our differences. And so I can just see so much opportunity there. If the outsiders like me, it takes me 40 hours to fly here, but the thing I was most excited to see was Bajau Lao. There's so many others that would feel that way and would spend money to see a lifestyle that is different, because that is the rich part, that is the treasure, that's what expands people's brain, is to see, yes, and if there was a way to just find ways where that can be done responsibly, that can have a blueprint of like you said, not the plastic, not this kind of stuff, but just in a way that works together to highlight this beautiful treasure of a lifestyle, make profits off of it, whether it's ecotourism or whatnot, make sure the profits are going back to the people, and all of that. And I feel
back to the environment.
Exactly. And I just think that is probably the key, I think, to everything moving forward is being able to have hard conversations and embrace that people are different, and that is a good thing. That's not a bad thing. If we all become the same, what a boring world that would be.
Monochromatic.
Yes, exactly.
Right, so we need all the colors in the world.
I
Celebrate
was just gonna say
diversity.
colors, yes.
Yeah. Celebrate diversity. Thank you so much, Kimi.
Thank you so much.
There's been a lot of takeaway from that, and I really, really hope this episode will be able to open up minds and eyes of these Sabahans out there who may still have a lot of skeptic or uninformed beliefs about people who are different from us. Different is okay. In fact, we all need to celebrate that. So thank you so much, Kimi,
Thank you so much.
for reinstating the belief that it can be done.
I believe
Can
it.
be done. Yeah. Right. So till the next episode of Dua Perempuan Gila. It's Tiga Perempuan Gila.
Yes,
Three
exactly.
crazy
There's
women.
3 of us now.
Crazy.
Awesome.